audio.
Take one.
Great. Okay. All right, if you could just state your name and title and then the spelling.
I'm Anna Sanford, and I'm a student at the University of Dayton. My name is spelled Annasanford.
Perfect. Thanks. Okay, we will just dive right in. So, how do you feel your relationship with your phone and social media has influenced who you are today?
I think when I was younger, I was better at separating myself from my phone, but I definitely see myself more so now just being really stuck in it, and it's honestly not doing great things. I just think social media specifically on my phone can be a lot, and I've done a lot of giving it up for Lent or my checking my screen time, getting those apps that stop you from logging in after a certain amount of hours. But I just think I've been over consuming it way too much.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that your online self is authentic or something that you've had to shape?
I like to think it's authentic. I think I do put myself into my social media, and I think since I've had it for so long, I've kind of been able to experiment with it. I don't think it really changes my personality from what you see on Instagram or wherever, but I do think when I'm offline, it affects me a lot. And am I really this person, or is it just a facade I'm putting on?
Have you seen any of your friends or felt like that your friends have shaped their identity based off what they're putting online?
I do. I think trends can really bring out a certain part of people, and sometimes it's great, and it's oh my gosh, that's so fun that you're able to do that and get really into it. But sometimes I feel like it forces some of my friends to feel like they need to be that one thing. And I just don't like that because I know them and I know there's so much great things to them. But I know some of my friends get wrapped up in a trend or a character, and then that's kind of, they base their entire life off of that one thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. And with identity, we're all searching for a place or where we belong in this world. It's a lot of we just feel we want to be accepted and things like that. So, but with social media, I feel it can feel really overwhelming. And it's where do you even start, or where are you searching, So when you do post something, what reaction are you hoping for, if any?
I guess honestly, I think most of the time I post it is for me, of oh, this is fun, and I want people to just see what I'm doing, or I think this month was cool, so I'm going to post a dump about it. But I think also I want my family to see the fun things I'm doing in Dayton, and I have friends far away, so I want them to be able to see it. But I don't really expect the comments that come in that it's oh my god, slay girl, and just all the comments of people that you haven't talked to in years, and they'll comment on it and be oh my god, you look so good. I don't expect that, but I guess it has become so normal.
And then kind of off of that, if you weren't receiving comments like that, do you think it would make you feel a certain way? You almost expect those comments to come in. So if one day it stopped, how would you feel?
It would be weird. And I think I would feel a little upset about it. But at the same time, really thinking about it, if people aren't responding to my posts, one, it's not that big of a deal. And two, if it's people that I haven't seen in a while, maybe that just means that the friendship or the connection is just kind of gone, which I actually kind of would appreciate in certain areas, which sounds kind of weird, but if you're going to pretend to be friends with me online, then maybe we shouldn't be doing that, because if I'm not seeing you and making a connection with you in person and getting to really know you offline, then is it really an authentic relationship?
I can agree with that. That's a great point. What do you remember doing for fun before phones or constant or internet access?
Ooh. My first thought was video stars, but that's online, and I made a lot of those. um, I think I used to play capture the flag a lot with my like neighbors, and then I did cheer, so I did that a lot. And then plays and musicals have always been fun for me, so I was always in those. But like I think most of the time, like it was like me and my brothers, like my brother, wrestling, and just a lot of outdoors with my neighbors, and like trampolines, bouncing from house to house to house. Very fun. Or like what's the Spud? I can't remember that game right now, but that was a really fun game that we would play all the time.
Do you feel like once you got a phone or once you started using social media, those interactions with neighbors and maybe with school friends it slowly stopped?
I would. I think it was fun to be able to see like my neighbors online because I knew them kind of isolated from like who they were with other people. So it was fun to like see, oh my gosh, they're going to homecoming. That's so fun. But I actually haven't hung out with my neighbors in a really long time.
That makes sense. And then, so smartphones have helped us like so much with being like what you said, staying in touch and being connected with our family and friends. But I feel like it can also bring a very complicated side with it. Have you ever felt the pressure to post or act a certain way because of what you see online and like the idea of having to stay connected?
I think I've always kind of wanted to defy social media. So I didn't get Instagram for like a really long time because I was like, it's stupid. And now that I'm on it, I don't necessarily feel like I need to post. But there's still just like, sometimes it's kind of daunting of like, I didn't post my New Year, New Me post. Now everyone's going to think like I'm just stuck being the same person. And that's not true. Or like TikTok, I feel like I've been making videos just to like get better at editing and being more comfortable talking to a camera. And just doing that, I'm like, this is so annoying. Like, why am I trying to force myself to do this all the time? And I have a good reasoning for it, but it's still like, it feels icky in a weird way.
Yeah, makes sense. And can you remember the moment when social media started, or like the moment when social media started to feel more serious for you, when it became more than just, fun?
Honestly, when I got to college, because the major that I'm going into is media production, so I was like, I'm horrible at editing. I need to get better at it. I was trying to get better at making social media posts for like clubs. When I came to the University of Dayton, I didn't have Snapchat and I didn't have Instagram, and I had to re-download them because that was how a lot of people communicated. And then also for clubs, all the information was said on Instagram, so I had to re-download it. And then now I'm in a club where I'm doing the social media for it, so it is just very in our culture to use it as a source.
Mm-hmm. And when did you first become aware of like your likes and your views, your followers? Not that maybe you don't feel it as a form of validation, but just at what age or when you felt like you kind of started noticing those?
I want to say middle school. I feel like that was when I was thinking like, oh, the popular girls have a lot of likes and I have like 40. And I think I was upset about it, but it also wasn't that prevalent in my life that it like really hurt me as a kid, but it did hurt me like looking back at it now of like, oh, I was friends with popular girls and I didn't like realize it, and I'm realizing like sometimes it's like realizing, oh, I wasn't as liked or wanted as a kid because I didn't have that fun, bubbly social media presence, or like I didn't go ice skating every winter with my friends and post about it.
Do you feel like that's kind of affected the way that you post on social media now?
I think so. I think I try to post like the raw pictures and the silly side more than something fabricated. I never edit my photos. So I do think it affected, like, I want to include everyone in the picture, and I want people to try and actually see who I am on my Instagram.
That's great. How does online comparison affect how you see yourself offline?
Sorry, can you say that
Yeah.
again?
How does the online comparison affect how you see yourself offline?
I think I come off more confident on social media than I feel sometimes in real life, because it's easy to be confident to a bunch of people who you don't know, or just not in person. You can see more flaws in person, and I think about those kinds of things a lot, and I try to present myself in a confident, kind manner, and that's really easy just to do on social media. You just put up a post, or you're watch this whole video and leave a like, and you're helping someone get money on TikTok. But I feel like I try to do the same in real life. Yeah.
Do you feel like Gen Z feels kind of the way that you feel about just the confidence online versus offline?
I think so. I think a lot of people feel that way. Especially, I know, like, a lot of people make so many, like, connections online with, like, people they haven't met before, which I think can be really easy, but then you get offline and it's like, oh, well, I can't talk to somebody in person because that's awkward, or that's weird, and it's become normal to, like, like, there's someone who I might have been following for, like, 5 years on Instagram at this campus, but I've never once actually said hi to them because it's not normal.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Let's see. So, how do you think validation online feels different than validation in real life?
Validation online, whereas it feels nice when you're alone, I guess. Like, people are actually listening to me, they're seeing me. But then in a room, sometimes it's hard with a group of people, and you want to try and get what you want to say out, and you can't do it because there's just so many people in the room. So I think you can pretty easily be validated, but I think validation offline is way more valued than it is on social media, because social media is just a quick, you're doing great, which sometimes is all you need. But I think it's more valued offline when someone or sometimes it's people you don't even know, and they're like, hey, the group project we did in class today, like, you were really killing it. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's, like, really awesome just to be seen and valued.
Do you think that more people get their validation offline or online?
I think a lot of people get it online, and I don't know, I just don't think it's the best. It's not like a sustainable way of doing it, because then how do you get that when you're offline? Because then you're going to be stuck with yourself, those late night thoughts of just like, oh, only my friends are online, and just, again, feeling icky.
Yeah. When do you think social media or your phone began to shape your, like, day-to-day choices, kind of like who you talk to or what you wear, like, even how you feel about yourself?
I'm going to say middle school again. I feel like that's a really big time of growing in your life. And I know for me, that was when social media, like, became so big for me. So it really shaped a lot of how I would think about things and why I was trying to get away from it so much at a younger age. But I mean, I couldn't help, like, Stanley's or Lululemon leggings, the belt bag. Like, it definitely shaped, like, I wanted these things, but I also never really went out of my way to ask for it or achieve it, which sometimes made me upset and made me sad. But it was more so, like, when I see like trends of like things to do with your friends. And it was like, oh, that was like, I didn't have like a core group of friends in middle school. And so I think that was what hurt me more of like, oh, I don't have like friends to go do this like weird challenge in Walmart or anything like that. So I think that's what hurt.
Yeah. And then much of our interaction or use of social media is kind of because of its design. Like most people know that it was designed to keep us connected, or it was designed for us to be addicted in a way. So how do you feel that these platforms have shaped our culture and our expectations of who we should be?
This is a good question.
Take your time.
I think it specifically makes me think of, I worked at Drug Mart and there was these old ladies who I worked with. And their use of Instagram was to show me like these funny cat videos all the time. And so for them, it was more of like a fun, silly kind of thing, or it's like the complete opposite and it's like completely like a political space for them. At least that was my experience at Drug Mart. And so then it makes me think of my age and my generation of like, well, this is kind of like all we grew up with it in a weird way. Sorry. With having like a childhood with less social media and then getting so much of it at once was honestly overstimulating for a lot of us. And then by doing that, I think it not only did social media hurt like communication in person, then COVID happened, and then that hurt communication even more. So I think being stuck with just the social media and the personas you can put on there really damaged a lot of people's ways of being understanding of other people and different perspectives, and then just being able to communicate and have a regular conversation. It doesn't have to be a debate. It can just be a conversation. And I think that got pretty lost in the media. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's great. Do you feel like your use of social media is more for like staying connected or more of a consumption value?
I just forget to post a lot. Like it's not on my radar all the time, but when I do, it is for like a connection. I want my family to see what I'm up to. I want my friends to see what I'm up to. But I forget to post all the time. So it's not always, and then I think I consume it a lot. But again, it's just so, I don't even think about it. It's like, oh, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm going to scroll through TikTok, which is upsetting because that time could be used for something else.
Yeah. And then do you have a good why answer for that? Like, why do you use it to stay connected? Why do you use it for consumption?
I like to think about like the future of like someday when I have a family of my own or new people come into my life. It's kind of a way of people can kind of see the phases of what I went through, and even things like I'll forget, which is fun. And I would just say staying connected with my family. You know, I see myself moving somewhere else so they can know where I am, see what I'm doing. But that's the best I got.
That's great. No, that's great. So how do you think that growing up with social media, this is kind of more of a repertory question, but how do you feel like it has shaped who you are today, high school versus college?
I think in high school, it made me just scared to be myself because I thought that people wouldn't like who I am on social media or they wouldn't like me. And I think now I've just become more comfortable in myself and who I am that I don't care as much. There's the occasional like, oh, that was really embarrassing, but I'm going to post it anyway because who cares? um, but I think socially as well, I've become more outspoken and I've become more confident since high school to now.
Great. And then how do you think your childhood would have been different if social media didn't exist at all?
Would have been really different. I watch a lot of TV. I trivia, when I go to trivia and it's guess the theme song, I am always saying stop. I know it immediately. I would watch YouTube videos, like just consuming so much TV and media as a kid. Like making video stars. That was what I did. Like I loved board games and I loved like hanging out with my siblings. And it's kind of crazy to think that I already hang out with my siblings a lot, my family a lot. So it's kind of crazy to think of like I would have been hanging out with them even more if I didn't have that. Like video games, like that's really crazy to think of. Like that is something that like me and my siblings bond over, of like playing Smash Bros. And so it's weird to think of like what would have been in that spot, like filling that if it wasn't invented.
Can you think of anything that maybe you guys did that maybe you would have done more to fill that spot?
We played a lot of weird games. We would chase each other a lot around the house. Specifically, we loved these, it was like fake eggs in a spoon, and we would create like an Olympic like track for us to go, and like walking around the house or like walking outside. We were always pretty creative with that kind of stuff. So I think it would have just been a lot of different versions of hide and go seek, and a lot of different like what's the right word for that? Not Olympic, but I don't know. It was a lot of, the word is completely gone. I can't think of it. But just like random tasks that you had to do throughout the house, and like jump over the 5 stuffed animals and find the purple bow hidden in Sarah's room.
So, how do you feel it has hurt your growth and development of finding your true identity?
That was like, so back to middle school, that was like a crazy thing for me, because a lot of my friends, like they had their own thing, and a lot of the times I would just like jump into what they're doing. So like one friend really liked singing, and I was like, oh my god, me too. One friend really liked cheer, oh my god, me too. And so then I specifically remember one of them said to me, he was like, Anna, you don't really have your own thing. I was like, oh. And then I had like a huge like identity crisis at, what age is that, 12? A huge identity crisis, and I did a lot of writing, like poetry, songs, and it's all like really just like cringy and angsty. But social media didn't help. It just didn't. Because then I'm seeing all these other people who I'm like, oh, well, they're a dancer. They're an actor. They're this. And I just didn't even know where to start. I was like, what do I even like? It was like, I remember having so many spirals in my room after school, being like, I can't even do schoolwork. How am I supposed to like eventually one day like have a real personality, as if I didn't have one already. But it was a lot. And I think music was a big help of like trying to like feel out those emotions. But social media was no help at all of trying to figure out who I was, because it was just sound, and I wasn't able to listen to myself or figure out that I could listen to myself. So yeah, that was huge for me in developing who I am today.
Yeah, that's great. And then do you feel like kind of the social media like pushed you towards the music outlet?
No, I was always singing as a kid. I would walk outside and I would make up my own songs, and my mom and dad still make fun of me for it, of just like random things that was going on. I've always liked singing, and I've always liked being big and acting. And I just think as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate it more, which is why I like video and film. And my family was always really supportive of that. And so I think that's also something that helped differentiate it from being like a social media thing to, oh, well, my family also has seen this in me and they're encouraging me. So yeah, I want to pursue this.
Yeah, that's great. So have online spaces ever made you feel more isolated instead of connected? You know, even while being surrounded by people, maybe because they're like on their phone too. So
For sure. Specifically thinking of like when this happened a lot in high school where I'm like on my social media and I'm seeing all my friends are hanging out or like they're all doing something. And I'm like, well, gosh, I should be doing something. Why didn't they ask me to hang out? And so just like a lot of hurt feelings, but then no communication. No, like, hey, why are you guys hanging out without me? Or like, just not even asking and just assuming like they don't like me, they don't want to hang out with me. Or like even like huge groups from like high school doing activities and I was like, oh, okay, so like I'm just not even noticed by anybody. And just really feeling left out and isolated.
do you feel like you've also felt that in college in any way?
Sometimes. It's more so when you're in a room with a group of people and maybe you're talking and then you look around and everyone's on their phones. I've also found it crazy that it's moving into the classrooms because literally even just in my class today, there was a whole group of people on their phones, visibly showing their phone to the professor while she is talking. I was like, that's wild to me. Bonkers. It just seems disrespectful. It is disrespectful. And so, yeah, that baffled me.
That is a great answer. I'm thinking the same thing. It is crazy. So what is the hardest part about being constantly connected?
Sorry, what was it?
What's the hardest part about being constantly connected?
I think sometimes it's like constantly putting on a face. However, I think if you can curate your social medias into just being truly you, it's not that hard. I love vlogging to my Snapchat, and that's truly me, so that's fun. But I think constantly being connected sometimes just feels like it's more of a chore. Like, I do social media for on-the-fly improv, and sometimes it's like, oh, I need to get that post up. Oh my god, I need to do this. Oh my god, I need to do this. And I will ask like one person like, hey, can you send me this picture? And then they don't send me the picture. I'm like, okay, well now I can't work on this. And so sometimes it can be stressful of when it comes to like a job. But I think if you're doing it for fun, it shouldn't be stressful.
What was the hardest part about being... Oh, sorry, that's the same question. What do you think are the biggest dangers of growing up online?
Running into the wrong people, for sure. I have had a couple fair shares of meeting some people online and like this was in middle school, but like me and my friend both were talking to this one guy on Instagram and he like was essentially dating the both of us and neither of us knew for like 2 months. So that was crazy. And then there's a lot worse than that. Like especially like in middle school, like people were sending, it's gross, but mass texts of people's nudes. I've received some of them, disgusting. And it's crazy that was normal. Like people talked about it, it was normal, and there was not a lot of repercussions for it. It was weird. And then never happened to me, thank goodness, but people can get really hurt and abused, and it can lead to further things. And it's horrible. And yeah, I hate thinking about it because it makes me so upset.
I guess, is there any way that you can elaborate a little bit more on that? I think that that was just a great answer. Or just give a little bit more to your story, if anything.
I think people can be emotionally abusive. And I think when you're young, you see your friends hanging out with other people, and that feels like someone who is actually listening to you. It makes me so angry. Because people should know better. And it makes me really upset that people would take advantage of young kids. Sorry.
You're good.
But it's really upsetting. Like, come on. I'm sorry that you went through something when you were younger or now, but that's so horrible.
And have you seen social media negatively impact, someone else close to you? And if so, what did that look like?
I have had 2 friends in the past who, bless their souls, glad they're getting the help they needed. But like, I specifically remember one of my friends, she was really into kind of getting in on the trends, and she felt like she needed a boyfriend, like the classic, like, I'm thinking Davy from Never Have Ever, like, she had those goals, and she had those dreams of like, I'm gonna be popular in high school, and I'm gonna lose my virginity, and I'm gonna have so many boyfriends, and like, that was her idea of what it was gonna be. And so it made her questionable, to the point where I no longer felt safe being her friend. And it's sad to think about it, but it's past. And then another friend of mine, she didn't really have a lot of friends, so then she relied heavily on social media. And it was kind of sad to think that I saw her slowly just like dive deeper into it, because I was too young to be able to help her at the time. Like, it was a lot of heavy emotions and things that I, as a friend, couldn't fully unpack and give her the help she needed. But she would talk about like the guys she would talk to on social media, and she specifically, when like shifting to like different worlds was a thing, that was like COVID. But she was like, I'm trying to learn how to shift to Harry Potter, and she would tell me about these like crazy fantasies she would have, and it's like, you do you, but also there's more to what's going on than just you wanting to follow a trend. And I think that social media can sometimes block that for people.
It's a great answer. So I think that, people our age are aware of how social media affects them. But maybe they like choose to ignore it. So why do you think that we allow social media to control us so much?
I think because it's current and it's what's happening now, and if you want certain information for things, you have to be on social media. And also, like, if you want to kind of be a part of a group or a community, that's one of the quickest, easiest ways to get in touch with that group. It's convenient and it's fast. And I always, like, at the end of the day, I'm like, well, it is meant for connections and it is supposed to be used for good things. And it's really unfortunate that it's kind of evolved into what it is, and that it comes with so many horrible sides of the world. But I think I continue using social media because it's efficient, it's easy, and it's how I keep informed on the clubs I'm in and the people I'm friends with.
So, you know, when you return to these platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, um, again, they're designed to keep us addicted. And they almost push us into like silos or these echo chambers, um, and almost like telling us who we should be following and who we shouldn't be following. You know, how do algorithms and these trends influence the way that people think or the way that they behave?
I hate them. Like, if I notice my algorithm is getting just what I don't want it to be, I delete the app. I delete it and I'll re-download it later. But, I mean, I've noticed one girl I know who completely based all of her political opinions on, like, a niche part of TikTok. And that's just... You're not even going to look into anything else. You're not going to research. And I think sometimes, especially with TikTok, when it comes to like political things, you can really get stuck of like just a hate train and not having any understanding or even looking into the other side of things, the other factors of what's making it happen. Like, a lot of people just don't research anymore. Which is very unfortunate. And then like Twitter, X, don't even have it because everything I know, like, some people can have like a funny Twitter feed, but from what I know, it's literally just all politics, and I don't want to touch that. I'm gonna do my own research, and I'm gonna gain my own information and have my own thoughts, and I don't want people shoving those things at me. I'll hear it out, but like, I just don't think it's healthy to only see that one side, and then just, it's always so aggressive. And I think that's what makes it just really turn off for me. We can be kind and we can be understanding.
Yeah. Have you ever taken a break? Well, you just said this. Yeah, so you've taken a break from social media. So what changes do you notice when you disconnect? And then, you know, when you do re-download it, what would be the main, like, why to re-downloading it?
So yeah, I've deleted social media a lot. I usually give it up every year for Lent. And it's really nice. It's hard sometimes. I think the hardest one is YouTube, just because I love YouTubers and that jazz. But I think doing it is kind of like a nice reset. It kind of feels like a weight lifted off your shoulders, like, oh, I don't have to give a fake comment to my friends' Instagram posts, or I don't know. It's just, it feels very more in the moment. And then when I do end up re-downloading it, it's most likely because, like, I'm posting stuff on social media for clubs. And then there's, like, sometimes there's only, like, certain people will only communicate with me on this social media, and that's always really annoying. And then I should really delete TikTok because I spend so much time on it. But that one, that one's hard because, one, they usually don't show you the time when you're on TikTok, so then you're on it for a really long time. And it's just so addicting to see the videos, and that's one where it's really fun to be creative, which is why I don't want to delete it. But I really should because it takes up so much of my time.
Great. Okay. What was the hardest part about disconnecting or logging off?
On Instagram, I have a huge group chat with friends, and so logging off of that is always really difficult because then there's videos I'm missing out on, inside jokes I'm missing out on, and so that's always annoying. And then also when people are like talking about trends, sometimes it's annoying because then it's like, man, how did I not know that trend? I'll be like, I don't. Like, I don't. And then I feel kind of stupid. But, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I can get over it. And it's gonna be okay, and I'm gonna be better for it for not having it.
And then how do you personally cope with online pressure or comparisons?
I delete the apps. That's usually the go-to. And if not, I downloaded an app for like restricting time on apps, and that was also really helpful. And also just like trying to put in coping mechanisms of when I do feel bad on a website, turning it off and thinking of something that like fun to do, like paint my nails or put on makeup for fun, read a book, something like that.
I love it. And then kind of more of a simpler question, just like, do you have any idea what your screen time on average in college would be versus middle school, maybe?
Ooh, okay. Middle school? It's most likely 7 or 8 hours a day. And then in college, maybe a solid 3 to 5. 5 on the weekends for sure. But I think maybe like 3 hours a day throughout like the school week.
Makes sense. And then do you know anybody who has like a really high screen time, or what maybe they're spending it on?
Yeah. My brother doesn't turn off his phone. And so he'll just have like YouTube videos playing for, like, he doesn't turn off his phone. I shared a hotel room with him, and I had to listen to like some sports podcast the whole night. He didn't turn it off. And so his screen time is probably crazy.
That's really. Does he have a reason?
I don't know. I think sometimes it helps him focus when he has something going on in the background. But also, I can never really understand my brother, so he does a lot of weird stuff.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And then, how do you feel social media has helped you find or explore who you are today?
I do think you can find really great communities, or just like learning about people who are like you, and like I'll be completely honest, I didn't fully know what neurodivergent or like a lot of mental illness was before social medias, and then I learned a lot about it and like did a lot of my own research and was like, oh wow, I'm not crazy, I'm just mentally ill. So that's really fun. And then also just like if there's like a niche fandom you can find people who like it too, and then that's always really fun. But yeah.
Great. What responsibility do you think that users have?
I think you are responsible for everything you post and everything you comment. Specifically comment. I think a lot of people get away from themselves when they comment on other people's posts. I think you are responsible just to take a second and think, what is this going to reflect on me as a person? And can this offend or hurt other people before you post? I think that's the way to think about it.
Great. If you could reimagine what social media could be, what would a healthier and more honest version look like?
I think it would be a lot of memes, funny videos. I think it would just be really funny. And then, some fun songs popping in everywhere there, like mental health groups that you can find. It being a resource and not just a place to throw shit at the fan.
I love it. And then if you could kind of, what advice would you give to younger kids growing up online now?
I bet it seems really fun, and I bet you're having a blast on it for right now. But I think for a kid's sake, be a kid. And yeah, that does come with social media. It comes with social media. Have fun on social media. But please don't let it consume you. Go outside, touch grass, listen to your mom, do your chores, and you'll be golden.
And then what do you think about, or what do you think like adults misunderstanding about our generation? And like, do you think they misunderstand how we use social media or what it really is for our generation?
I think sometimes it's harder for adults sometimes to know etiquette of social media. I think sometimes the posts are definitely different between like me and my parents, and I think sometimes they find it hard to understand like why I would use it as more of a fun space than a space to maybe be more outspoken. I think sometimes it's a struggle to understand that people have different reasons of why they like to post.
When you look, into the future, how do you think that this era of the internet is going to be remembered?
Probably poorly, is my first thought. However, I do think it will be kind of appreciated, of like kind of like this was the testing times. I would hope things get better, like with laws of how to use social media and technology in general. I don't know, maybe it'll be seen as like the prototype zoo or something like that, because I feel like that's kind of a way to just describe it. But I do hope that things would become a little more civil, understanding, and again, more of a resource.
And then to wrap us up, if the internet erased your profiles tomorrow, who would you still be?
Me. I would still be me. I'd be a little sad about some lost TikToks, but I think I'd be fine.
And then actually, one more thing actually.
Okay.
If there is any general internet safety like tips or anything that you would have given your younger self, what would they have been?
I just think I was stupid, so I would mostly tell myself, look things up on your own. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. You have to do your own research. And I've always been good about don't follow people who you don't know. So.
Great. Well, Anna, that's everything. Thank you. That was